Hello again, word lovers, and in this installment we're going into the realms of myth, particularly mythical beasts, from phoenixes to zombies. The phoenix coming from an old Phoenician word for purple, red or crimson. Is it that because it comes out of the flames, or was that the colour of the bird? I don't know. Zombie. It's been suggested it comes from sombra, the Spanish word. But I'm not having that. When in some West African languages you have zumbi meaning fetish and nzumbi meaning ghost or nzambi god. Originally, according to this line of thinking, the name of a snake god, only later coming to mean reanimated corpse. But even this etymologist says could have come from a Creole of phantom via Spanish sombra. Werewolf has nothing to do with Spanish. Wer, man or male person, PIE root, wiro, an Old English wolf on the end of it, coming through Germanic roots from the PIE root flickr, meaning wolf. Wolves have been around a long time and accompanied us on their journey into pug dogs. Ghost, another Germanic word. If it's a noisy ghost, it'll be a poltergeist. Proto-Germanic geistas. Conjectured to be, so we don't know for sure, from a PIE root, geis, which makes words connected with fear, excitement, amazement. We do get usgeishan in Gothic, gastan in Old English, meaning to frighten. Spirits and spectres come comfortably from Latin, spectrum, specere, specere, to look at, from PIE root spec, to observe, something you see, simply, and spirit via French, esprit, spiritus, Latin. Where does it go from there? Possibly pie, pace or space, to blow, but if it comes from that it might just as well be onomatopoeic, just with the sound of breathing. Anyway, spirits and spectres, from Latin, voodoo-like, zombie from West African languages, meaning spirit. While monster has undergone quite a change in meaning. If you go back for monster, it is connected to monere, meaning to warn in Latin. A monstrum therefore would be a warning, a portent of something terrible. And this goes to PIE root and monere. Back to men again, we've had a lot of words coming from this word meaning mind or thinking. So just something you think about, something becomes something imagined, then something wonderful, and then something wonderful and terrible. In Russian we also have a similar thing. Chudies is at the same time something wonderful and terrible. You'd probably translate monster as chudies in Russian. It's not impossible, but Alice in Wonderland also lives in the land of Chudies. If you do the same thing in ancient Greek, something wonderful to the point of being terrible, you get Gorgos, and from which you get their terrible Gorgon. Mummies were made quite frightening by Abbott and Costello films, along with werewolves and vampires, whose etymologies we've already seen. Now, this seems to come from an Arabic word, mumia, meaning bitumen, which was a part of the mummifying process. An Arabic which can be possibly traced back to Persian, mum, meaning wax. If you don't want to meet such monsters, you should stay clear of graveyards. This seems to me to come directly from Proto-Indo-European. Greb is to dig or to scrape. Doesn't seem to change much through Germanic to Old English graf, and then we get the shift into modern English grave and yard, not the measurement but a piece of ground. Old English geard, closed off with a fence. Back to Proto-Germanic garden, you can see where that's going. Garden, yard and garden are connected in that case. In Gothic, guards meant the whole house, whereas a garda meant a market stall. Where's all this from? Again, a possible PIE root. Gor plus to, leading us back to the root ger, to grasp, to hold, to enclose, which also has close relations meaning that. But we'll return to some more mythical myths, which is indeed directly from Greek mythos, but nobody knows where that comes from. But manticore, which came into Latin from the Greek, goes all the way back to Old Persian, where it means a tiger or a man-eater in general, while a griffin comes from the late Latin griffus. How do they know? But they tell us is a misspelling of grippus, so the original pronunciation would have been grips, and it meant what we mean by it, a griffin, something like a griffin or a dragon, though really it meant hook-nosed. Grippos was hook-nosed, whereas flat-faced and flat-nosed was simos, and that's where we come in, the simians. We'll update to some Christian mythology now, and we'll end with some cherubim and seraphim, some of those little angels, angelos meaning messenger, and amongst the hierarchy were the cherubim and the seraphim. Cherub comes from Akkadian, according to one line of thought, caribou, one who blesses, which was one of the epithets of the bull that was worshipped, the blessing one, the caribou. Whereas the seraphim, which appears only once in the Bible, and is the plural of saraph, which never appears, could be from saraph, meaning it burned, so it was a burning thing, as this was the traditional representation. Although it may be connected simply with flying, a word for flying, sharafa, an Arabic word meaning to be on high. Let's bring this to a close with the pleasing sentence from this etymology where the writer notes, some scholars identify it, the seraph, with a word found in other passages interpreted as fiery flying serpent. And as a general rule in etymology, I think when you arrive at fiery flying serpent, you stop.